Now, the state is expected to call a new witness when the Senzo Meyiwa trial resumes this morning. Yesterday, the former Bafana Bafana player's longtime friend, Tumelo Madlala, wrapped up testimony, and defense lawyer Zandile Mshololo revealed that the NPA intends to still prosecute him and others who were at Kelly Khumalo's home the night Meyiwa was killed. Excuse me, eNCA's Moloko Moloto has more for us. Thank you so much, Moloko, for joining us this morning. Of course, court proceedings will be starting very shortly, but if a new witness to the stand, what else can you tell us?
Hello, Baron. Well, we do not know who the state is going to call as their next witness as this trial continues. As you said, Mr. Tumelo Madlala, the childhood friend of the former Bafana captain who was killed in October 2014, wrapped up his testimony yesterday. And we have had a lot of things. I mean, yesterday, one of the things that we had him saying, this is Tumelo Madlala, who, by the way, was present in that house in Vosloorus, the Khumalo house, when Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed on that fateful night. He essentially contradicted and rubbished, I must add, the statement, the sworn statement that has been made by Miss Kelly Khumalo. In her statement, she is saying that after Senzo Meyiwa was shot, there was a lot of blood on the floor. And she's also saying that in her statement that another friend of Meyiwa, Twala, was among some of the people who were in that particular house who joined in the attack or the assault of one of the intruders. Now, we heard yesterday Mr. Tumelo Madlala saying that that is rubbish in isiZulu, saying Hitoti, whatever is written in that statement, that there was never a time when Tumelo Madlala, not Tumelo Madlala, Twala joined in the attack. He's saying he saw him leaving the house, and Tumelo or Mthokozisi is not the kind of person who is hostile. He would never fight. But also he's saying that after Senzo Meyiwa was shot, there were just spots of blood on the floor. So that for me stood out because he clearly is saying whatever that Kelly Khumalo is saying is completely untrue. But also we heard him denying some of the things that he wrote in the statement, and he signed that particular statement just a day after Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And this were in relation to the number of gunshots that he apparently said he had. In this statement, Mr. Madlala says that he had 3 gunshots, and when he was giving the evidence in chief in court, he says he only had 1 gunshot. And also in the statement, he says that he identified the gun that was held by one of the intruders as the so-called 3-8 special. And however, during the evidence in chief, he says he doesn't know anything about guns. So that was put to him to say, explain this stark contradiction on the statement that you signed and what you have said in court. And he says, I don't remember really describing what the type of a gun to the officer who was taking the statement. And Advocate Zandile Mshololo said, did you object? Did you tell them that you are not going to sign this particular statement on the basis that they have added information you did not agree to? And he says, I told them, yet he continued to sign that particular statement.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned a few interesting points there, Moloko. Of course, you know, it's crazy that the mystery, it is still a mystery that the identity of the person who actually shot Senzo Meyiwa is still, you know, unclear to us. After, you know, we've had how many witnesses now on the stand, and still we don't know who pulled the trigger. But of course, yesterday, Judge Rata Mokgatleng, you also raised some questions about the competency of the police investigation, which, you know, in some way has been lacking.
Yeah, well, Baron, it's not only us, the members of the public, who do not know who might have killed Senzo Meyiwa, but also some of the witnesses who were in that particular house, specifically Mr. Tumelo Madlala himself, says he doesn't know who killed Senzo Meyiwa. However, he does say that he saw the gunmen who entered the house, the intruders. One of them was holding a firearm, and he does say that he had one gunshot going off, and that was when he says that he ran into one of the bedroom. That question as to who killed Senzo Meyiwa was first asked to him by Mr. Sipho Ramosepele, who is a defense lawyer for one of the 5 men who are on trial, and he was clear, that is Mr. Tumelo Madlala, that he doesn't know who killed Senzo Meyiwa. He did not see who killed Senzo Meyiwa. But another thing that emerged in court yesterday was that there was a point when Tumelo Madlala went to the police station. He met with one warrant officer, eNCA, who was doing an identikit. And in that statement by warrant officer eNCA, apparently Tumelo Madlala has said that he can only identify one of the 2 men who allegedly intruded into the Khumalo house. Now, it was put to him to say, is this what you said? He said, no, it's entirely untrue. I did not tell eNCA that I can only identify one of the 2. In fact, I can identify both 2 intruders who allegedly entered into the house. You speak about the remarks by the presiding officer. That was when we were heading towards the end of the proceedings yesterday, and he was making his remarks or even asking questions. One of the questions was that given the fact that the gunshot happened in a very small space inside the house, he asked whether the police did take the clothes that Tumelo Madlala was wearing, because he was saying that a competent police officer would have taken those particular clothes that Madlala was wearing when the first gunshot went off, because he was closer to the gunman, and so that they can analyze in terms of their forensics the perhaps whether the powder was on the clothes and all that. And Tumelo Madlala said that did not happen. So it really raises the manner in which the police officers themselves, whether they know these protocols. But another thing that at least we know as it emerged in court, Baron, is that it seems as if the crime scene was tampered with, because when police arrived, we now know that somebody had cleaned that particular floor, and also the number of alcohol cans that were found, there were only 2, yet these people who were drinking on that day were I think it was Kelly, Zandi, Zitwala, Madlala, and Senzo Meyiwa himself. All these 5 people were drinking alcohol at that time, and the question is, what has happened to the other cans of alcohol that were there? So those are some of the issues. But lastly, when it comes to the conduct of the police, we also heard from Mr. Madlala himself, who was rubbishing some of the remarks or the statement or the conduct specifically by one police officer, Joyce Buthelezi, that he accuses of having tried to have him change the statement regarding the whether there were intruders in the house on that day or not. And Mtokozo Zitwala says, I will never change my stance, I will never change my position. There were 2 intruders in the house on that day. So you then begin to question what actually is going on here. And as you said, we still don't know the truth up to so far. And those who were there on the day Senzo Meyiwa was killed continue to contradict themselves.
Thank you so much, Moloko Moloto, for that update. Of course, court proceedings will be getting underway this morning at the Pretoria High Court. Our reporter, Moloko Moloto, will definitely be giving us an update later as well. But we will be going to live proceedings, of course, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial at the Pretoria Pretoria High Court. Now, of course, those 5 men on trial for the murder of the soccer star, as we know, have pleaded not guilty. And Meyiwa's close friend and state witness, Tumelo Madlala, he wrapped up his testimony yesterday. So a new witness expected in court today, but we will be giving you all those updates a little later.